guys. I'm from the last century. That is dynamite to me. And my heart goes out to that kid because he's likable, he's personable, and he's bright. And I wish him well. I hope to hell he can pull it off. He's got so damn much on his plate. But he ain't gonna disclose this subject anytime soon, because he's not ready for this. I don't even think he's been briefed yet on what this is all about. You all know the story of what happened to Jimmy Carter, who promised to everybody that when he was elected, he was going to release all of the UFO information. He got into Washington and he got his national security briefing. He walked out of his briefing with tears in his eyes. Apparently, the director of Central Intelligence said, "Mr. President, you don't have a high enough clearance, sir, to have access to all this material." Now, can you believe that? The director of Central Intelligence says, "Also, sir, you don't have a need to know." And poor old Jimmy he wilted. And as a result, he never said boo about anything during his 4 years in office. Promises went down the tube. Who was the director of Central Intelligence? Some guy by the name of George Herbert Walker Bush. Now we're beginning to put pieces together here. The puzzle is beginning to form here. Who's sitting on top of this damn cover-up? Oh my. Now I want to share something with you here. The guys in Spain ask me continually, when is there going to be disclosure? Good God, you guys, when is, it's been years and years and years now. We expect the United States government to disclose this. When are you going to do it? And I said, guys, hold your breath. It ain't going to happen anytime soon because it's too big a story. And then, of course, Greer and Bassett were there at the conference. And, well, let me give you a small parable here. I've got a little parable I've prepared. It's called The Three Stephens in the Apocalypse. That sounds religious enough, doesn't it? Yeah. The Three Stephens in the Apocalypse. And I want to now touch upon that word, apocalypse, because that's another word that ticks me off. I am so pissed off at the number of people who misuse that word. Most of my fundamentalist friends, and I have a few still, yet after all these years, keep talking about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Oh my God, we're doomed, War, famine, plague, pestilence. The four horsemen are riding. For God's sake, the four horsemen have been riding for 10,000 damn years. But most of them never really grasp the meaning of the word apocalypse. It's a Greek word, and it has several meanings. The revealing, the uncovering, and the disclosing of what? The truth. And you're living in the middle of the apocalypse. You've been living in it for the last 10 to 20 years, and you're going to be living in it for another 20 or 30 years. The revealing, the uncovering, and the disclosing is taking place. As you sit here and as you breathe, it is taking place now. But I got into this little tangle with Greer and Bassett. I respect them both. They're decent guys. I've known Stephen Greer for years. They keep hammering away. They have these conferences in Washington, and they keep prodding the Congress, and they keep prodding the government. And you've got to have a committee. You've got to reveal this material. You've got to tell the American people the truth, blah, blah, blah. And the government, pardon me, but they give them that middle finger, in the air. Excuse me, ladies, I'm sorry, that's rather rude, but the government does that to Greer and Bassett. And they go back and they say, well, maybe next week, maybe next month. Oh, a new administration. Ooh, we've got Podesta, who worked for Clinton. We've got Panetta, who worked for Clinton. And we got a young president who I believe is honest and transparent and is going to tell us the truth. I said to Bassett and Greer, don't hold your breath, guys. It ain't going to happen. That new president ain't going to put that on his plate, not if he can avoid it. Because he's not going to get the whole story right now. He's got so damn much piled up outside of his Oval Office, he can hardly get in and out of it. And you all know the story on that. Now, who's the other Stephen? Young man in Hollywood. Spielberg. Now, where does he fit into this thing? Well, when I was asked about disclosure, is it going to happen? And I say no, yes, yes, no, no, yes. And everybody's saying, what the hell is he talking about? Disclosure has been underway for some time. Steven Spielberg made a bunch of movies. He made E.T., which I think most of you have probably seen. That was for the kids. He made another one called The Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and that was for the big guys. And then he made a television series called Taken, which was dynamite. And tell me, and I've got this from sources that I trust, that he's got two separate programs in the mill, another movie and perhaps another TV series that he's working on, that they're going to come up with hopefully in the next few years. Now these movies, as they come out, affect people. There's not a one of you here in the audience that wasn't, affected by E.T. It was cute. It was a kid's story, really. And I think there's not a one of you who wasn't touched at the closing scene of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when the guys piled aboard that ship and off it went. And then Taken, which I think ran for a number of weeks. I can't remember how many episodes it was. 20? Good God, yes. Well, that's a major program. It was powerful, well written, and dynamite. And it had so much classified material in it that most people, I don't think, ever realized that they were looking at classified material. And then there was another guy out in Hollywood who I got to know. A number of years ago, I was honored to be invited to be a speaker at the Mensa Regional Conference in Orange County. And I was honored to be invited, and I went and spoke to the Mensa crowd. And the guest of honor at that particular regional conference was a dude with the name of Chris Carter. He was the producer-director of the X-Files, as most of you know. After presentations and all, and drinks, I got him aside, and we're standing there sipping away. Fruit juice, of course. Pulled him over and I says, Chris, you got to level with me. I says, I've been watching your program here now for some time. I think it had been underway for about 6 years at that time. And I said, it's impressive. Some of your stories are dynamite. Some of your stories aren't worth powder to blow them away. But it's a pretty decent series. But I says, I want to ask you something. There are 3 incidents, 3 episodes of your X-Files that I happen to know are highly classified government secrets. And I've been on the inside. I knew these things to be classified. And here they are, I'm seeing on the X-Files, for God's sake. And I says, how the hell do you guys do that? He says, I've got some great writers. And I said, bullshit, nonsense, poppycock, what is it, the old British ancestors, balderdash. I said, you can't tell me that your writers have come up with classified material that they've dramatized that are right on and are still classified. And he looked around and he got a sheepish grin on his face and he says, well, yeah, we've been getting some story ideas from a variety of sources. I said, where? And he said, well, I can't really say, but we've been getting some promotional ideas from different people. And I said, well, you're right on. And I laid them out for him. These 3 particular cases were classified and still are classified. And all he did, he looked at me sheepishly and he grinned and he says,